Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, verse number 18. Niyached Vishayabhyokshan Manasa Buddhi Sarthihi Manaha Karamabhi Akshiptam Shubharthe Dharayet Hiya. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. Purport. The first process of spiritualizing the mind by mechanical chanting of the pranava omkara and by control of the breathing system is technically called the mystic or yogic process of pranayama, of fully controlling the breathing air. The ultimate state of this pranayama system is to be fixed in trance, technically called samadhi. But experience has proven that even the samadhi stage also fails to control the materially absorbed mind. For example, the great mystic Vishwamitra Muni, even in the state of samadhi, became a victim of the senses and cohabited with Menaka. History has already recorded this. The mind, although ceasing to think of sensual activities at present, remembers past sensual activities from the subconscious status and thus disturbs one from 100% engagement in self-realization. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami recommends the next step of assured policy, namely to fix one's mind in the service of the personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also recommends this direct process in the Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Thus, the mind being spiritually cleansed, one should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord by the different devotional activities of hearing, chanting, etc. If performed under proper guidance, that is the surest path of progress even for the disturbed mind. Om Ajnanatigrandasya Jnanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Srimati Rupa Krishna Goswami Namane Prabhupada Sri Sarita Vya Prakash Samriti Racha Prachar Skritam Sadhu Bhavat Padaya Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunivara Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Vaita Gadadhar Srimad Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Translation once again. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. So this particular chapter is called the first step in God realization. And this verse actually is talking about how to control our mind. Is our mind under control? No. No. It's a big no. Yes. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains how to control the mind. Arjuna told Krishna, what did he say? Chanchala Krishna. That one mind is very chanchal. It keeps going here, there, everywhere. And I'm 100% sure you are sitting here, but your mind is not here. And you're smiling, that means you agree. Uh-oh. That is how the mind works. And that is why Krishna is giving us instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And here, Shukadev Goswami is instructing Maharaj Parikshit how to control the mind. So in the beginning, he's talking about mystic yoga process where, the breathing process, which is mechanical, process. And if we remember the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, right? Krishna explains, how to meditate, go to the secluded place in the forest, no iPhones, no iPads, no laptops, no spouse, no children, right? Go all by yourself. And then lay kusha grass, put near skin and sit erect, right? And half eyes closed, half open, concentrating on the tip of the nose, and then perform this mystic yoga, the breathing process. Very difficult. Arjuna said, "What are you talking about?" Of course, he didn't say that. But he said it's very difficult. And this was in which yuga? Dwapar Yuga. And now it's Kali Yuga. It's more difficult for us. So here, Shukadev Goswami in the beginning is giving knowledge about mystic yoga, then gradually he's going to take him to bhakti yoga. So here he's saying the mystic yoga process, the goal is to attain samadhi. Unfortunately, most people in India think what is samadhi? After death, right? That is samadhi. But no, here it very clearly says it is a state of consciousness. But this mystic yoga process does not guarantee control of the mind. If you remember, if you heard the purport today, what example was given? Who was not able to control the mind? See, the mind was gone. Vishwamitra Muni. Yes, Menaka came with ankle wells and out went his meditation. As it says, out of the window, it's gone. So, meditation or mystic yoga does not help one to control the mind. This is just a process to realize Paramatma within the heart. But important to understand is this is not sufficient. You see, in Bhagavad Gita, we learn the yoga ladder. So there's karma yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, but the topmost rung is bhakti yoga. Srila Prabhupada gives very nice example that if you want to go, what is that biggest building in New York? Empire State Building. How many floors? 102. 102. Actually, my son had taken me to New York. I went for the first time. I've been here 32 years. Maybe 3-4 years ago, we went. And so I had heard a lot about Empire State Building, and Prabhupada also talking about it. You can either climb the stairs and go up, or you can take the elevator, right? And elevator is Bhakti Yoga, the shortest way to reach on top in time. And so when we went, we were outside Empire State Building. He said, "This is Empire State Building. Come on, let's go. Just look from it from outside. This is Empire State Building. Now let's go to the next destination." No patience to climb up. Bhakti Yoga, instant. Just get into the elevator, punch in the number that we want, whether it 102, and then maybe in 5 minutes, I guess, we reach there. But if we start climbing, let me do first Karma Yoga, then I will concentrate on Jnana Yoga, then by the time we will be too old or maybe dead also, right? So that reminds me, talking about death, Guru Maharaj always used to ask this question: what is the death rate in Atlanta? 100%. You all have heard it.
Prabhupada also said, I think.
I know, but Guru Maharaj used to talk about Atlanta. So, what is the average age in Atlanta? He would ask.
65, 70.
See, 65, 70. What is the average age in India?
I think it's less than 55, 60 maybe.
No.
45.
I heard 85.
India?
Yes,
No.
that's what I heard. Average age is 85. No?
Average
US
is age of death?
Yes.
Yeah,
Average, right?
Is right? So US is more than.
Really?
Yeah. Afghanistan is 32.
Oh,
32.
Seriously?
Yes.
So you think those who live in Afghanistan at the age of 31, if they come to Atlanta, they live longer?
Mostly. Yes.
No.
No, no, no.
They will die when they are destined to die. It doesn't matter where you live. Right?
Okay, that is the
Yes. Based on our karma, we'll be in this body. And if we become self-realized, then we don't come back into this material world and we go back to Godhead. Right?
In India, it is 67 years, and
67.
in United States, it's 76 years.
Yeah.
Oh, so those in India would want to come to the US to live longer, but it doesn't work like that. So if one spends time in meditation, like scriptures tell us, Kriteya Dhyayato Vishnu Tirtayam Yajatomake. Its Satyayug process was meditation. Kalautadhari Kirtana. In Kal Yuga, the process is chanting the holy names of the Lord. And what is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So Shukadev Goswami here is telling Maharaj Parikshit to fix his mind. On who? On the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by doing so, the mind will get cleansed, and with the help of knowledge, it'll get purified faster. You see, when, like children, when the parents say, do this, they want to know why. Yes or no? Yes. Very rarely you'll find children who will say, oh, yes, let's do it. Yes or no? Yes, we are all parents. They will argue and they would try to find their way out, some loopholes, like Arjuna was trying. He didn't want to fight, so he was giving so many reasons to Krishna why he should not fight. So, when we start taking knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada's books, that will help us to understand what we are doing. Then the faith will also increase. Does that make sense? Because if we don't have knowledge, then we are just doing it on blind faith. And how long is it going to last? Not too long. So here Shukadev Goswami is suggesting to Parikshit Maharaj that now you're about to die in 7 days. I have a question. Do we have an appointment with death? Yes.
I just don't know it.
We know it.
When?
I can tell you when. 7 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Any day. 7 days notice
Yes,
is
7
there.
minutes there.
7. Yes. So it could be any of these days. Just like Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days, we also have 7 days. But we don't know which day it's going to be. I remember one time a couple used to come to a Bhagavad Gita class, and the husband and wife were very attached to each other. And so the wife asked, is there a process by which I can leave my body on a weekend? And I was thinking, are you listening to the Bhagavad Gita classes or no? Or is your mind going out of the room as soon as you enter? Many times have you noticed that when, especially newcomers who are not yet used to, this knowledge, when they come, they immediately send their mind out, maybe to India or Australia or wherever they want to go. But when you look at them, they're like, that means they're listening, but they are not listening. Why? Because the mind is not under control. So many times Krishna is explaining to Arjuna how to control the mind. Srila Prabhupada has given us such a simple process. Chant and be happy. Because he knows we are not happy, so he's giving us a process. But important point is we should not chant as a ritual. That, okay, especially all of us who are initiated, I'm initiated, I have to chant 16 rounds. What is the wrong word in this? I have to chant 16 rounds.
Minimum.
Have. It should be, I want to chant 16 rounds. And as Guru Maharaj says, the actual chanting starts in the 17th round. Up to 16, it was, I have to do it. But the real chanting starts after that. Why? Because that is the process to control the mind. There is no other way. What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. Why is he saying 3 times? When we want children to understand something, we repeat. We see in Bhagavad Gita, most of the shlokas are repetitions because we have that mind which is very stubborn and it has to be reminded again and again. So if we follow the process given to us by Srila Prabhupada, that we train our mind, but this verse says we should, Prabhupada mentions we should take guidance, not do whimsically. You know, sometimes I hear some devotees say, oh, today I chanted 64, tomorrow I chant 32, now today I chanted 8 rounds. There has to be some guidance. Don't we need guidance even in school? We send children to school to learn from the teachers in university. I want to learn dancing, music, karate, judo, whatever. We go to a teacher, we take guidance from them and learn from them how to become perfect in that particular talent or art or whatever. So similarly, even in spirituality, we need guidance. Now, we may not have guidance on a daily basis. Like we may not have someone guiding us spiritually on a daily basis. Then what do we do?
We read Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, we associate with Srila Prabhupada. We read his books, but not just read the books, but read it scrutinizingly. And when we read it scrutinizingly, we, understand it. And if we don't, then we inquire. Sometimes when I'm preparing a class, excuse me, there are some sentences which I'm not even able to understand, even though I've heard it, read it many times. Then what do? I approach a senior devotee. I approach my husband and ask him, what does this mean? And then when he explains, it's like, aha, I didn't even think about it. This is what it means. And that is association. And that is getting guidance from senior devotees. So spiritual guidance is very, very important. Otherwise, excuse me, the mind will always disturb us. The mind is always going to give trouble, and that leads to frustration and anxiety. So if we follow the process, then the mind will come under control. Actually, it's an art. Just like dancing is an art, music is an art, controlling mind is also an art. It's not just like that, I remember hearing a nice story where this one person got a boon, that you have you heard about Aladdin and the lamp and the genie comes out? So they came the genie, and the genie said, what can I do for you? So he said, I want 10 factories in this city. And within a second, the factories were ready. Now, the only problem with this genie was that you have to keep the genie engaged. Otherwise, you lose the genie. And he started becoming rich, this factory, $1 million home, and this and that. So many different desires he was trying to fulfill. And then he ran out of desires. He didn't know now what to do. And if he did not give another instruction to the genie is going to disappear. So he took guidance from a saintly person. What should I do? Like Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam, jana sukritino Arjuna, that even if you want money, come to me. So the saintly person said this is just the best way to keep the genie engaged. And what was that? He said, bring a bamboo stick and put it in the ground. And then tell the genie, go up and down till I tell you to stop. So that way genie was engaged. And the genie didn't bother this man. What does that indicate?
Get mind engaged.
Yes. Mind is like the genie. Now what? Give me something more. Okay, I ate rasgulla. Now what? Give me one gulab jamun. Now what? All the time, all those desires. like Maharaj was saying, 22,000 desires in a day. Do we have time to count them? Is it going to help? No. But if we engage the mind in going up and down, means the feedback, right? The mana is there. Keep chanting, chanting, going up and down, up and down. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So Srila Prabhupada's process is very, very simple. He did not ask us to perform great austerities like go to the Himalayas and, give up your family. Nothing at all. Just follow the four regular. Even Guru Maharaj always insisted on chanting. Wrong. Attentive chanting. He always mentioned attentive chanting. Even now, when we hear his lectures, he always says attentive chanting. He also says follow four regulative principles strictly, not whimsically, not by the way. Read Srila Prabhupada's books 2 hours every day. And not only that, do seva in the temple. And the topmost instruction is reach. Because preaching is very dear to Guru Maharaj. It is dear to Srila Prabhupada. It is dear to Krishna. If we read 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very clearly says, whoever spreads my knowledge is most dear to me. Is there something called most or mostest? Most means most, nothing above. So here we have a formula by which we can please Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And all we need to do is chant attentively. Srila Prabhupada says, when we chant attentively, everything else will fall in place because there'll be purification. Then we would want to do seva. Then we would have the desire to read Srila Prabhupada's books. And then mind will be under control. Right? So this whole verse is talking, Shukadev Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj how to control the mind, how important it is to control the mind. We are so fortunate that Janardhan Maharaj has given us association for 1 whole week. I wish it was forever, but so what did he talk about all these days? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Bhagasevanam, Archanam, Vanasam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivekam. 9 processes of devotional service. And what do? They control the mind. This is how we can control the mind. But for that, proper training is needed and proper guidance is also necessary. And if one is sincere and serious on this path of Krishna consciousness, we get the blessings of Guru and Krishna. Because Krishna sees, oh, here's my devotee who's sincerely trying, seriously taken up this path of Krishna consciousness. So then he gives his blessing. And the easy way is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. See, if we don't control the mind, it's going to be like a child running all over the place. Destruction. Have you seen? Some children are really naughty. They'll pick up things and throw it and break it and just run around, throw food. So many things, that's destruction. This is what the mind will do. But if the child is disciplined, no problem at all. The best way to control the mind is just chanting and, of course, reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Very, very important. Now, what's the benefit of chanting? Very, very simple. So there's going to be purification, there will be satisfaction. Because there is purification, then there'll be no more hankering, right? Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na Shochati na Kansha. There's going to be no lamentation, no hankering. And there's going to be liberation, and that will lead to complete absorption in Krishna. This is how the mind will get spiritualized. And that is what Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, how to spiritualize the mind. That is, and the process is given to us by Krishna. And if we can use our mind and make our mind our best friend, then You'll be fully satisfied. There'll be no more hankering. And if you can follow the ABCD of spiritual life, that will help us also. What is it? A, association, B, books, C, chanting, and D, diet. That is, eat only Krishna prasadam. Unfortunately, for especially children and even adults in this material world, A for is Android, B, Bluetooth, C, chatting, D, download. This is what they are engaged in. But our ABCD is totally different. It's the opposite. Association, books, chanting, and diet. So the verse once again, gradually as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, too absorbed in material activities, can be engaged in the service of personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. So I'll stop here if anyone has any comments or questions. Yes.
Thank you very much for
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj.
So Mataji, my question is when you say like we have to preach, Maharaj also said on that one. So when we consider that our preaching is successful, meaning like we may preach to people and they after some time they leave. So I mean, should we consider that as a preaching or like that's not preaching?
So if you remember Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 and 5, we perform our activities based on the scriptures, but we don't desire the fruits of our activities. So even in preaching, I heard a very nice point by Vaisheshika Prabhu when he came to Atlanta about book distribution. He said when we go out for book distribution, we should not go with the idea of results in mind. How many books am I going to distribute? No. Leave that to Krishna. Let Krishna, because Krishna is in everyone's heart, right? Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishto. And he will guide the sincere souls, to take those books. So when we are preaching, we should first of all pray to Guru and Krishna to help us to preach, because we don't have the capability or we are not qualified. But when we pray to them and when we preach, we don't look for the results. I remember hearing that, say, supposing you, like my husband and I, we used to make cold calling, right? Just from directory, we would call. So the idea was to give an opportunity to say 100 people a day. Out of which, how many you think will say, yes, we will come to your class?
Some percentage.
Maybe 10,
Yeah.
right? And how many will actually come? 1, right? But in the eyes of Krishna, you get the credit for 100, even though you don't want it or you're not desiring it. Krishna sees our efforts, sincere efforts. So when we preach, we should not think of the end result. We should, with full heart and sincerity, reach out, give this knowledge to others, and it's up to them. They have the freedom of choice, to decide whether they want or they don't want it. Did we hear Janardana? I said, even if you can make one devotee, just one devotee, right? You can go back to God. So, yeah. When we started our class in Mumbai in 85, I think, sometimes no one would come. And so I would do kirtan, my son would play mridanga, and Prabhuji would give the lecture. And all three of us would hear Krishna Katha. And that's okay. We try. And then gradually it will build up. How many years it takes to make one devotee? Many years. How many years, Uttam Radhika?
Many years.
10 years.
Try our best.
10 years. 10 years, I remember. 10 years. You see? But that's okay. So don't look for the results. Just keep preaching, keep preaching. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes.
Mataji, so you were saying that the best way to control our mind is by chanting and other devotional activities. So what should we do if while chanting itself, the mind is not in control?
It goes away,
Yeah.
right?
Because it's supposed to be the solution of the problem, but
Yes.
during the solution itself, the problem is.
I was actually reading Prabhupada's yesterday, and he said that if the mind will go away while chanting, bring it back. That's what Prabhupada said. Bring it back. And again, it's going to go, bring it back. And then, just like children, doing something wrong, we say, no, this is wrong, this is wrong. Then the child understands, a repetition. So when the mind will see is being brought back, then get trained. Then it won't run away. That's why attentive chanting. What does, as Prabhupada was asked, what should we do while chanting? Should we think about Krishna's pastime? Should we look at the picture? What should we do? What did he say? Just hear what you're chanting. So it is very, 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 very important to chant very clearly and loudly so we can hear what we are chanting. Because if we cannot hear, if we don't chant loud enough, then that is whispering, or you will hear whistles, right? Whistle. So it'll be like whistling, right?
Right.
I remember hearing this lecture from Suvas Prabhu in Los Angeles temple, and he was saying that some chant like Hare Krishna Krishna Nam 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 Krishna Krishna Nam Nam Nam, and he said, so at the time of death, Mr. Kish, Mr. Nam will come. Krishna will not come, Mr. Kish and Mr. Nam, because that's what we are chanting, right? We have to be very careful. We are very, very clear in our chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. It has to be loud enough because the power is in the sound vibrations. And when the sound vibrations go into our ear, that's how the heart will get purified. But if the sound is not going in, then how will it help? It shouldn't be loud, so loud that others get disturbed. But yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Just quick, two